Welcome back to the Balance Sheet, where we talk about all things in the world of women's wrestling. I'm one of your co-hosts, King Ajar,
What's up, everybody? I'm Billy.
and we are back after a 1 week hiatus. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our listeners, my co-host as well. I had some stuff happen personally last week, and I was out of town, and so when things happen personally and you're out of town, it's very difficult to, we always try to stay on schedule when we do this show. We record the same time every week. But a lot of stuff just caught me at the same time. And so um, mentally, I was not prepared to talk about women's wrestling last week simply because I wasn't really caught up on a lot of the events that have happened. So if you go back last week, Mercedes, who we're going to talk about here at the beginning, had two matches already and was about to do a third. I didn't even get to watch either match. So to be fair, we would have cheated the listeners out of a proper episode because I wasn't even prepared to discuss these items. And so things are good on the home front now. Thanks for everybody who messaged me and just wanted to make sure everything was good. I appreciate it. Appreciate you as well, sir. And,
Of course.
also as a way to take my mind off the stuff that was happening, I actually attended game 6 and game 7 of my beloved Blue Jays. Now, this is the Black Jays hat, but, we're in the World Series. It's 1-1. I know your lovely wife is a big Dodgers fan. Funny enough, I have as many Dodger fans in my life as I do Blue Jay fans because living here, this is Dodger country. And I forget
Hmm.
that sometimes, right? Because for the longest time in El Paso, the Dodgers were our closest major league team because there was no Arizona and there was no Colorado. So there's 50 years of Dodger fandom in this city. And I go to everywhere and they're like, yeah, Dodgers are going to repeat. But this isn't a baseball podcast. This is about women's wrestling. So I'm going to kick it to you because we're going to start with, I'm going to call her, I've called her Award Tour Mercedes in the past. And I mean, she's living up to the billing. Last week she wrestled 3 matches, 3 days, 3 countries, three totally different style of matches also.
Yep.
So we're gonna start. I'm gonna let you give everybody the recap. So let's go to Mexico City, Arena, Mexico. First of the 3 matches that she had was against Persephone, who, by the way, happens to be born and raised in El Paso. And it was the main event of an all-women's show that did about, what was the attendance? About 10,000?
Just under 10,000 is what's
10,000. Okay.
what's come out. Yeah.
And take it
Yeah.
away. You love this match.
I love this match. This match, you know, this is why I watch wrestling. Um, I love when they go out and accomplish the business that they're trying to accomplish, and it's cohesive and it makes sense, and the crowd reacts to it in a way that um builds future business. The most interesting thing to wrestling about me is, like, we're sports obsessed. I think all of our listeners pick up on that. Um, Whatever, sport is in season, we're locked in. Basketball just started and all that. And the cool thing about wrestling, though, is you know promoters doing a good job booking. You can feel momentum get created. And the booking of this CMLL match created a significant amount of momentum for future business. Um, Main event, Mercedes was at her 2015 Sasha Banks antagonized the crowd peak. A lot of our listeners, I think that's their favorite version of her. But that woman who stole Izzy's headband is who showed up in Mexico City, and she's flipping off the crowd. She's working this slow, just asshole pace. where she's laying in her shots and she's looking at the crowd like I got your girl here. And you know, people don't even realize Persephone's mostly been kind of an asshole heel a lot of her career, and she was naturally turning babyface over the last couple of months. She even said it in an interview, and this just rocket shipped all the way to the babyface side. Um, Having a outsider, a foreigner, antagonize the crowd while beating her up. We got some great near falls. Mercedes poured water on Persephone's family. If you get the, unfortunately, if you get the uh, crowd audio of that, there were some slurs thrown. People were heated. That part's not great, but it just, I mentioned it to just, this was a heated environment. And um, I don't know who's going to beat Mercedes for every one of these belts, but I am almost certain that Persephone is going to be the one to take this CMLL title off of her. Um, I think this was done in a way where you could do business with anyone beating her. They're going to pay to see someone beat her, but Persephone also won the Grand Prix match last night or 2 nights ago. So I think it's going to be Persephone because the crowd was ready. There was a great near fall, and then Mercedes kind of pulled it out. So I love this match. I have this as, again, this is the type of match why I watch wrestling. Probably one of my favorite matches of the year. Just the pomp and circumstance and everything around it was great. So that was kind of night one. I will say 3 countries, 3 matches, 3 championship matches, 3 nights. And no matter what the haters want to tell you, Mercedes didn't phone in 1 minute of any of these 3 matches. She went out there and you know gave she of course the Arena Mexico match she's going to go balls to the wall. Everyone thought she'd have like the open challenge AEW match at Wrestle Dream would be like a quick kind of no fuss match. 16 minutes with Mina Shirakawa, physical, took a ton of bumps. Um, you know, Mina with her strikes laid in pretty hard. And then the next night against Jody Thread in Winnipeg, her and Jody had a fun match that kind of went around that really cool arena there with some Stone Cold Steve Austin beer spots and stuff. But I mean, really put her all into all 3 matches. So I just don't see how you don't respect um, someone going out there on the grind like that. Even Dave, who we will definitely trust as a wrestling historian, said he's almost certain she's the first person to have 3 matches, 3 championship matches in 3 countries within 3 nights. He's like, I don't think anyone else has ever done that. So it's almost like that Hulk Hogan story where he flew 84 hours or something to Japan. And it's
On the
almost like that, but
contrary.
come true, right?
Yeah. Okay, so Dave is correct in this sense. She did 3 matches, 3 title matches, 3 different countries for 3 different belts,
Right.
right? Because CML belt is one, AEW or TBS title is second, and then the winner, the WPW title is three. I know Ric Flair has done 3 countries for his belt, but not 3 separate belts. So like he did
Was it
NWA.
in 3 days?
That I don't think so because I think he did Australia, I think he did Japan, and he did America. There's no way he's doing that in 3 days. There's no,
Right.
I
That's not
think that's
physically,
like
but
7 days. Yeah. So
yeah.
there is no way. But so of the 3 matches, and it's 3 separate matches, 3 different styles, 3 different crowds. The Persephone match to me was head and shoulders better than the other 2 matches for me.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me to rank my all-time heels in wrestling, like 1 to 10, I know Mercedes is on that list somewhere, right? She's all-time heel. But I can make this case about her, and this is a kudos to her. In the ring, I think she might be the best heel ever. And what I mean is like Ted DiBiase was a great heel. And a lot of that was what he did before the bell rang,
Yeah,
right? He kicked the basketball, he would, cut the line at a restaurant. Like he did the stuff that made you hate him before the bell ever rang because he was so gifted as a talker and as a heel character and the vignettes and stuff. But what Mercedes is genius at is you go into this match and you could hate her. And by the end of the match, you could hate her even more, right?
hmm,
Like this crowd already didn't like her because A, she's a foreigner, B, she's arrogant, she's pompous and everything. But by the time the match ended, they wanted to kill her.
yeah,
And like to me, that's the brilliance of her as a in-ring performer. And that is where again, wrestling is nuanced. As much as people think wrestling is like this no mind-numbing television and it has no theater to it and no nuance to it, it actually has a lot of it. And
hmm,
so if somebody were to say, you know what, I think I always bring EO, but I'll use Mayu as an example. Somebody says, Mayu's a better in the ring wrestler than Mercedes, right? That's fair in terms of mechanical and performing moves and doing things. But that's not wrestling the totality of it. That's basically one part of the story. Where Mercedes is the complete package, is she can do all the mechanical stuff. Like she's a great technical wrestler. She really is. But the way she can invoke emotion out of people, right? Like you take her as a heel and she had a Mexico City crowd. I know the slur part is uncomfortable and people don't like it and people don't want to hear about it. And they talk about, oh, this goes back to as somebody who lives in a predominantly Hispanic city, hey, this is racial undertones of them not liking African Americans and all that stuff. But the truth is, that just proves how damn good she is at her job because she can make somebody invoke racial slurs. That means she's really doing her job to hate. Now, is it acceptable? No, it's unacceptable. And as wrestling fans, we got to be smarter than that and not be morons. Like, I hate when if a player gets beaten football, you go to the racial card. Like, no, like the other player just made a good play, respect it, move on. These are people, these are humans. They don't deserve that. Mercedes doesn't deserve that. But I think deep down, if she's being honest and she had like a lie detector on, it's uncomfortable for her, but she's like, I did my damn job. I made them feel such a way about me that they had to go to that. That's where I think she is a cut above everybody. And
you,
yeah.
yeah, no, agreed. And what's funny is, I mean, you and I have been following her for well over a decade. Even as someone who's a fan, who you've met her.
Mhm.
I've met her on virtual call, during COVID, a couple of the virtual things. Been on her Instagram lives and stuff like that. Everyone who knows her knows her. She's a very, very pleasant, good person. And you see her performing like she did in Arena Mexico, it's almost like she does turn into a different person. Like, even like, did Persephone's family know they were going to get doused with water? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, for most wrestlers, you go, like, that's a spot they had to cover ahead of time, right?
Mhm.
Maybe it's pretty, they looked pretty upset though. You know what I mean? Like, they looked mad. And
Oh,
it's almost like she goes to this different place and you could see her soaking in um the hate and loving it. Like, to your point, in the ring she's like, oh, this is great, they hate me, this is fantastic.
but I don't think Persephone's fans family knew that. I think that was not a planned spot. And I think the way
Dang.
she didn't plan the Izzy spot, and she's a person who the thing that always impresses me about her specifically is how she can ad lib in the ring based on the temperature of the crowd. In that sense, she's very Randy Savage.
Hmm.
And in terms of, okay, like Randy said, Diamond Dallas Page tells a story about Savage where they were at a house show and they didn't really feel the crowd into the match. And he's like, okay, we're gonna go easy tonight because you know what? These guys aren't really into it. Why are we gonna kill ourselves to impress a crowd that isn't really hot? But then the next night, I guess the crowd was super hot, and he's like, they're in a headlock, and he's like, okay, turn it up because the crowd is into this. Like, and then that's when he said, hey, Diamond Cutter finish, middle of the ring, clean, beat me. Crowd deserves that. Mercedes is very good at that. And again, like to me, this was what I love. Like you, this is great professional wrestling. It's not, you're never gonna take the Mercedes Persephone match and tell me it's great for mechanical move sets. Like we're gonna talk about Io and Mayu in a sec, but like I told you this before we started recording. If somebody were to take these two matches, Mercedes and Persephone, Io and Mayu, and take the sound and put it on mute and say, watch these two matches and tell me which match is better. 10 out of 10 times, I'm going to say it's going to be Mayu Io. Like they just are crisper wrestlers, moves, etc. When I put the sound on now, I might have a different answer because like I felt more sucked in to Mercedes Persephone because I talked about it at the beginning of the show. I didn't get to watch everything by the time we should have recorded last week, so we couldn't do the show. The only thing I watched wrestling wise on Sunday in between Eagles, Vikings, and Blue Jays game 6 is I watched Mercedes Persephone twice on my phone at Real Sports in Toronto with my headphones, my AirPods, and I was like, this is a damn good like overall match. Like not just the wrestling part of it, but the theater part of it, like the crowd, the water, the anger. And when Mercedes won and the crowd just wanted to basically jump the guardrail and run her out of the building, I was like, man, the next time she comes back and she loses, it's real money. So of the three matches,
Huge money.
this was to me easily the best. I do think the Wrestle Dream match underwhelmed me. You can talk about it. I watched the Wrestle Dream match maybe on like Tuesday in its entirety. And first off, the way they hyped up this appearance, I was expecting Saray or Siri or Saya, somebody, and it was Mina. And Mina has lost the Mercedes like 47 times, and she lost again, and she lost her title. It didn't move me. The match was okay.
Yeah.
Match was okay, but I did not care for this match that much. Like it was average to me. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, so I've got a good analogy for this match. One, Tony set them up to fail. If it was going to be Mina, just tell us a week out that it's going to be Mina. You know what I mean? That way people could go, well, of course, Mina has the belt. Hey, and you know what? I'm all about it. It's already setting up a red velvet match, which I think a lot of people have wanted to see, and that will, I guess, be on ROH, so that will be cool. But I like the direction that it takes us. As a surprise, it was underwhelming. I will say to your point about knowing the temperature of the crowd, when Mina came out, I thought we were getting a nice, tidy 8 to 10 minute match. We got 16 minutes. It was the same length as the Tony Chris match. Um, I thought the fact that Mercedes and Mina were able to get the crowd to care at all was a good feather in their cap. By the end of it, the crowd did care. Here's my analogy. You ever make a really, really good the number one thing I think of that reheats well is pasta, right? You make a big, good
Mhm.
pasta dish. Night one, it's good. Night two, it's good. And then the third time you have it, you're like, I'm so sick of pasta. And it's still good, but you're just kind of like past it. Something my wife is good at doing, and I will give Mina and Mercedes credit for this. The third night we have pasta, she will put different spices in it that weren't in it the first two nights we had it, right? She'll make it spicier. She'll put red pepper flakes. She'll do something to change the flavor profile. Night three. Um, I will be honest, when kicked out of the moneymaker and they got that awesome shot of Mercedes and her lips quivering, such a good actress. Um, there was a fleeting moment where I was like, things occurred to me. Mercedes loves Mina, the person who she stayed with the first time she went to Japan. So I was like, God, of course Mercedes would want to drop the belt to Mina. But why would they do it last minute? And then the second thing that occurred to me is that Toni Storm, who is the greatest AEW women's wrestler of all time and the greatest AEW women's champion of all time, unceremoniously lost her title to Chris Statlander a month ago in a four-way. So those two things did go through my mind, and I was like, oh my God, maybe Mercedes is going to lose. Now, 2 minutes later, she didn't lose and she won. But just giving credit where credit's due, it did work me into a little bit of could this be happening? And it had no business getting there because formulaically it wasn't going to happen that night. It wasn't.
So obviously not watching the match live like you did, I had a completely,
Right.
different viewing experience because A, I already knew the result, and B, I didn't get sucked in the way you did because I already knew Mercedes was going to win. So even
Right.
hitting the moneymaker and her kicking out, I was like, well, she's still going to win. It doesn't matter. But I will say this. I think the PTSD of Sasha Banks booking kicked in for you and others that night because let's just look at this. I know Tony Khan sometimes doesn't book in logic, especially with how Chris won the title. She is the longest reigning TBS champion of all time. There is no interim, there is no asterisk title, right? She is the champ. She's gonna lose to the interim ROH champion. Like that to me is the
Fair.
dead giveaway of, oh, she's not gonna lose. Like if Mina was the actual ROH champion, not the red velvet, she's injured, etc., then I'm like, okay. But to me, yeah, the moneymaker kick out thing was good. It was a good spot. And yeah, Mercedes acting surprised and shocked was good television. But like I just think it goes back to Tony setting them up to fail, which I think
Yeah.
is the bigger story here, which is if that was what you were going to deliver, you should have just not had the match. I get it. You're trying to do the Mercedes 3 titles, 3 days, 3 countries thing, which is cool. But like, couldn't you have picked somebody like why not do Tegan Knox? Why not do? But I guess it had
He
to be
wanted her
a
to break
champion.
he wanted her to
It had to
break the
be a
record on
champion.
his
Okay,
show,
okay, I see.
which is fair.
Yeah. So let's go to now the third thing, and I brought props for this one. So the third match was in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, against Jody Threat. I want to shout out to a promotion in Toronto called Greektown Wrestling. They did a show. I think the show's tonight or it was last night, and Jody Threat was on it. And I've talked to folks over there about possibly collaborating in the future, so look out for that. But Mercedes, before we talk about the match, she did something awesome after the match. It had all her, she had a video, and maybe this was on Instagram Live, where it had all her titles. And then at the end, she's counting, her Canadian money. I don't know if you
Hmm.
saw that video, right? Where she has a
I
bunch
did.
of Canadian money and she's counting it like this. So I brought my props here because my city of Toronto is Bizarro World. And the reason I say that is when I watched that match with Jody in Winnipeg, Mercedes is worth all the Canadian money because, they got their biggest house ever. The crowd was super hot for it. It was a main event. Um, and the crowd ate that up, man. They were happy to have a WrestleMania main eventer in their building. And I still don't get the Toronto reaction with her and Rio, but man, Mercedes is Canadian money. She brought it, and That match, surprisingly to me, was better than I expected it to be, but maybe I shouldn't have because Jody is a really good performer. That was a good match, man. I loved the story of that match. What did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, WPW Winnipeg Pro Wrestling, their Twitter account is awesome. Been kind of down some Mercedes hate for a couple weeks. Shout out to them. Um, and they're really, really proud of the 1,600 people that they got out to this show, which was their highest gate ever. Um, and this venue was really, really cool. But yeah, I loved the match a lot. It's a really, really fun match. Um, I thought Jody, for those who don't know, Jody helped Trish get ready, in-ring ready, in her latest comeback. Been a veteran out there for a little while, and I just, you know, we heard from people in the crowd that the match was really, really good, and then we got to see it. It premiered on Friday, this last Friday, so about a week, 5 days later. Again, if you haven't caught it, it's free on YouTube. But I thought they had some really cool spots. Jody had the cleanest Three Amigos counter. Mercedes' third Amigo always gets countered, but Jody lifted her up like she weighed 5 pounds into a delayed suplex, and it just looked so clean. Mercedes hit the two, does the shimmy, and then the reversal was just like smooth as butter. Um, so they had some really, really cool stuff. Interestingly, one of Jody's nemesis kind of interfered. So Mercedes did not win this match clean, which I think this is her first belt on the road that she has not won clean, if I recall. So three matches, 3 countries, 3 days, all three matches. The bookend matches delivered, and yeah, the your point about the crowd and how over she was, it's funny, kind of something I've been thinking about. I'm not saying Mercedes is the biggest star in the world. Roman Reigns is the biggest star in the world, and I'd say Rhea is probably number two. I really believe that. However, don't been 3 plus years since WWE was attached to Mercedes' name. And I understand that AEW is now attached to her name. But people talk about tribalism all the time. There's WWE tribalism, there's AEW tribalism, there's crew tribalism. There are people who are
There's
biased
there's
about
oh,
Mercedes.
there's Joshi wrestling tribalism.
There's tribalism all throughout wrestling. I would say, arguably, Mercedes has the largest fan base that has proven to travel without a 3 or 4 attachment to it. And what I mean by that is, I said this joke before we started recording. It's almost like she has AEW for the insurance. How some people work multiple jobs and they keep the one because they get the insurance from it. I'm not saying she's not committed. I'm not saying, I mean, she loves it in AEW. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is what she has built is not reliant on AEW. In fact, you argue here weekly that AEW, their fans' reaction to her diminishes her aura
Hmm. Yeah.
because they are not tribalistic for Mercedes. They are tribalistic for the people over there. They do not bat like that for Mercedes. The people who go to bat for Mercedes are not beholden to the alphabet soup. They are beholden to Mercedes, and that is a marketable, bankable thing, and that's why she can go to Winnipeg and do this and have it be really unaffiliated from what she does in AEW. CMLL, they have a great relationship with AEW, but that's her being Mercedes over there. You know what I mean? And I'm really proud of what she's built. She has staked out a claim that Oh, men did this before AEW existed, right? Kenny Omega's career was built like this. Kenny Omega was Kenny Omega, and if he wrestled, people were excited about it. Jericho did this. Jericho did this. He did the NJPW thing, ROH. He did this when he left WWE, and he kind of
Cody,
made, what was that?
Cody.
Cody. And I was going to say, and Cody
Yeah.
did this. Mercedes is the first woman on this scale to do this, where she doesn't actually need AEW, need WWE. Again, by all accounts, she loves it there. She's putting her heart into those matches. She didn't that Mina match, like I said, she put a lot of effort into that match, even though, the opponent was probably felt underwhelmed by the crowd. But
I,
I'm just, she has proven she has done everything she set out to do, and if that's all I'm trying to say is she has
yeah.
really planted her flag.
So, like, I think, we could probably, and not probably, I know we could do a podcast about this complete topic,
Yep.
which is, is Mercedes worth the money? Is she a draw? What is the purpose of her getting all these independent titles? Is she bringing attention to them? There's so much controversy, so much scuttlebutt. It's like a never-ending cycle of nonsense. Like I saw somebody and I wanted to talk about it. So like the person was like, okay, so she's making $5 million a year, and you're telling me that her selling out CMLL Arena Mexico, where they have $3 tickets, where's the return on investment? And people are like, it's like people are Kaiser Sose, sitting and looking at the whiteboard and trying to make all this stuff fit, and none of it connects, right? Like these are all separate topics.
Yeah.
Number one, her AEW return on investment. Okay, so I am the person of the two of us that in our private conversations, I say you can argue that she hasn't lived up to the money for AEW. Right? If the numbers are accurate, let's say the numbers are correct, she's getting 5 million a year base. Is she worth that to AEW? And then I said, okay, you said, I think she is because I believe there's 15,000 more pay-per-view buys that come with her being on a card where you were
The
like,
three she missed are the three worst ones since she's been there.
you were saying, Billy isn't going to order the show if Mercedes isn't on it. And, our friends Gil and our friend Brock and, Shizizzle and, maybe Chen, maybe other people who are Mercedes fans, but they're not going to order the AEW pay-per-view unless she's on it.
Right.
So let's say she accounts for 15,000 unique purchases and they wrestle 12 times a year. She wrestles 12 times a year. So the math is $15,050. That's $750,000 multiplied by 10, that's $9 million. Or multiplied by 12, sorry, that's $9 million. If she's making 5 million and she's adding $9 more million in revenue, she has already paid for her salary, right? So her return on investment is there. Now, if you want to
That's
say,
not even counting ticket sales. Like you wouldn't have went to All Out in
oh, no,
Toronto if she wasn't wrestling.
no, I wouldn't have. That's fair. But I think those are harder numbers to quantify. The ticket prices, the merchant. I don't, because there are going to be people who say, well, I would have gone anyway. But you don't know if they're telling. I will tell you the truth. I will not have gone to All Out if it weren't for her. But other people, like AEW hardcores, who might secretly be Mercedes fans, but to plant the shield of AEW, be like, oh, I would have gone anyway, right? I don't know that, but at least I will tell you I wouldn't have. You will say, I wouldn't order any of these pay-per-views if she wasn't on it.
I was skipping Wrestle Dream, man, and then
Right,
and then it's
right.
on the bill now, right? You
So
know,
where I'm going with this is okay, so let's say the pay-per-view numbers are people are like, oh, you're attributing 15,000. Every single unique buy that didn't happen is because of her. Let's say that's not all the way true. Who cares? And then, AEW is going to get 50% of the $50 because you have to pay 50% to the cable providers and all that stuff. My point is, look, I don't know definitively if she has, like, to me, the ratings are where everybody, this is what the problem is, okay? When Mercedes signed to AEW, they looked at, we built a podcast off of this because we had a group chat about this. We used to talk about how much of a draw she was in WWE, like exponentially compared to her contemporaries. Like if Charlotte Flair was doing this, she would do that. Like she was always
Right.
better than everybody. So everybody expected, okay, she comes to AEW now, she makes all this money, and she's going to take them back to a million every week, right? Like they're at 600,000 and she's going to take them to a million because she's this big draw. And when that did not happen, and it has not happened, oh, she's a failure. She's a failure. She's a failure in AEW. She's overpaid. She's overpaid. She's overpaid, right? But that's not the only way to make money in wrestling, which is television ratings.
And
Now,
yeah, television ratings have also changed over the last 2 years because I continue to be
exactly.
frustrated that Mercedes is the only person who it feels like the internet goes, she's paid this. What about the ratings? I got a good
Exactly.
one for you. Which belt in the WWE is the most important? Which is the one that traces back to Bruno and Hulk and Ultimate Warrior and Stone Cold and The Rock? What show is that on?
Okay, so let me think. I think it's the Cody belt, isn't it?
It's the Cody belt.
Mm-hmm.
So is Cody not worth the money? QB1 says I'm QB1.
Mm-hmm.
If it's good or it's bad, it's on my back. I run this company. Barely gets $1.1 million, 1.1 million viewers a week now. Is that Cody's fault or is that the landscape of TV? Cody gets paid more than Mercedes does.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the most important belt in all of wrestling. I don't think there's an argument that the most historic belt in wrestling is the men's championship in WWE. And Cody has it. Cody's been booked like a star. Cody's been given Roman Reigns wins and John Cena feuds and they get a million viewers on Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, loved it for Mercedes to have got AEW to a million views, and we would have been like, yeah, she did it because it would have been great for women in the market. I just don't know that wrestling's measured that way over the last 2 years. The ratings calculations have changed. You might know more about that than me. I just know they've changed.
They have.
Um, HBO Max. I've not watched. I don't have TBS in my house as of February. I watch Mercedes on HBO Max every week. I watch the women of AEW on HBO Max every week. I don't know how they account for that. I don't know if their numbers on HBO Max are good. I don't know if they're bad. I do think the easiest way to make an argument for someone being a draw nowadays is people who will spend money because even Netflix, right? We talk about Stephanie Vaquer, her minutes being great. I do. I've not watched a full WWE show in 2 months, but I don't miss Stephanie Vaquer. I don't miss Becky Lynch. I don't miss. I go to Netflix and I fast forward to those segments. And every once in a while I hit play if it looks like the men are doing something worth 5 minutes of my time. But I think a lot of people consume wrestling that way. But ticket sales, pay per view buys,
So yeah, so we just talked about the pay-per-view buys, but like somebody messaged me, they're like, has Mercedes improved ticket sales? And I'm like, in AEW, I'm like, I don't know. I cannot definitively say she's improved ticket sales. I cannot definitively say she hasn't. Because AEW, I feel like, and this is what's so funny about this. Everybody who's a diehard, I was at All Out. That's a big pay-per-view. And this is like we are punk rock. We are punk rock. We are anti-establishment, right? They had 12,000 people in that building. Yet they still don't look at Mercedes as part of punk rock, right? Like they don't look at her as part of their like championing the flag and whatever. They look at her as an outsider. Where I'm going with this is where I know Mercedes is a draw, definitively, is what she does everywhere but AEW. That's the biggest testament I have to prove our point, which is
Yep.
she goes to CMLL and their last okay, so these $3 tickets that people are now talking about, it's funny, it only made sense for when Mercedes was main eventing. Now all of a sudden we're talking about the $3 ticket prices. But you know what? Uncle Dave was talking about how CMLL might be the biggest drawing week to week wrestling promotion in the world because they're getting 8,000 people consistently, and WWE isn't getting 8,000 every week for Raw or SmackDown in some markets. There are $3 ticket prices there too. Like, this is the thing. I have a rental thing in Mexico City, and I know what the ticket prices are because I've thought about getting on an Aero Mexico flight to go see her. And I think the next time she fights in Arena Mexico, I'm gonna go. The $3 ticket prices have been there since the beginning of time. You know why? Because in Mexico, they understand that, hey, I might charge you $3 to get into the building, but I might charge you $25 for the tequila, or I might charge you $20 for the hot dog, right? It's about getting the person in and getting their money in other avenues. The point is, it's only been a thing when Mercedes main evented. Nobody talked about the $3 ticket prices for the other 300 weeks in a row they were doing this. So my point here is she drew more money in CMLL than the previous all women's show. That's a fact. Can't dispute that. WPW, Winnipeg Pro Wrestling, got their biggest gate ever. They went from 1,000 that they normally do to 15, 1,600. Huge. The Rev Pro, I mean, that promoter has gone on record multiple times and talked about subscriptions going up, merchandise going up, ticket sales going up. New Japan got their biggest spike ever for subscriptions when she was rumored to debut. That's a draw, people. And
And since she lost the strong title, their attendance got so bad that they didn't do shows the rest of the year and regrouped because they got under 1,000 people for the two shows after she lost, and they were doing 4 to 6 shows a year, and they haven't done a show in a couple months now, and the next one's not till February. They
she
didn't do
got
their August show.
her and Kyrie got like 3,200 or whatever in
Right.
San Jose, something like that. So where I'm going with this, look, if you're gonna spend your time as a wrestling fan listening to the individuals who have done some great things for the business, I'm not gonna sit here and discredit Jim Cornette. I'm not. Like, I would be a hypocrite because growing up as a wrestling fan, other than Bobby Heenan, Jim Cornette was my favorite manager. Like, no question about it. I loved everything about the way he talked, the way he had the tennis racket, the way he would be the mama's boy. Like, I was a huge fan. But these guys are measuring wrestling incorrectly in 2025. They just are. And it's because it's passed them by. And I think what we try to do is even as we get older, we try to understand what the current marketplace is because we are both in businesses that have, in our day jobs that have ever changing marketplaces. So like when you're in retail or you're in healthcare, the way healthcare was done 25 years ago isn't how it's done today. The way retail was done 25 years ago isn't the
Not
same
even
way,
close.
right?
Right.
So the way wrestling was done 25 years ago isn't the way it's done today. So if people just look at she makes $5 million and her segments get 600,000 quarter hours, she's not a draw. That's incorrect. That's not how wrestling is measured because there's a merchandise component. There is a pay-per-view purchase component. There's a streaming component, right? You just talked about it. Hey, I don't have TBS in my house since February. I watch everything on HBO Max. There's a streaming component. Are there people worldwide who are Mercedes fans who watch her segments on HBO Max and watch nothing else on the show? So Tony Khan would never have that unique user. We don't know because HBO Max will not release numbers and AEW doesn't release numbers. Warner doesn't release numbers. I'll try to get them. I've tried. They're like guarded like Fort Knox. The point is,
And not just the AEW ones. They're not releasing NBA numbers. They
and
don't release
yeah,
numbers.
streaming, see, this is where streaming, and I could do another podcast on it, but like streaming, that's the other problem with streaming, right? At least like television ratings are antiquated and they were always incorrect. Streaming numbers are becoming more and more like that because it's like per minute, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. We consume things differently. So if we consume things differently, we have to look at the metrics differently for how people are viewed as draws. And I know Mercedes is a draw simply because let's use Wrestling Observer quoted a number of $25,000. They said one independent promoter they talked to says she charges $25,000. If you pay somebody $25,000, I hope if you're running a good business, you could at least make four times that back or three times that back on this person. So that's a draw. If you pay Raja or you pay Billy X at their job, the truth of the matter is we're worth 10 times that in a normal corporate environment, right? Like I have my own numbers. I'm not going to go into it, but I know I am far underpaid because like I look at what I make and I look at what my contracts have brought to my current company in the millions of dollars, and I am not making millions of dollars. So I'm a draw. Well, I know Mercedes is a draw. I mean, all the promoters, these promoters have no reason to lie. You know why? They would never book her again. They would not tell you she's not a draw. They just wouldn't book her again because
Exactly.
they've already seen that she's lost money. So we got to stop all these people with Twitter accounts who talk about $3 ticket prices, talk about, oh, she makes $5 million a year, she makes this, she makes that, she makes this, she doesn't do this, she doesn't do that. You have a great point. Cody Rhodes, if he heard your comment about him, you know what he would say? Billy, I have the three highest grossing WrestleManias of all time as the main event. Me, Roman Reigns twice, me, John Cena. I am a draw. You can't say anything because I have the highest drawing gates ever. Okay. Well, on all these independent promotions, Mercedes has the highest drawing gates ever for them. So, how is it that Cody can say he's the biggest draw because he can use that metric and Mercedes can't? We cannot be inconsistent. We have to be fair and we have to be because again, I know Mercedes just has this like people don't like her and people don't want to see a woman walk out on the biggest
That's what it
company
is.
that's ever been, walk out on the biggest promoter the business has ever seen because she walked out on Vince McMahon. She did not walk out on Triple H or TKO and make it. Like she walked out, is making more money, wrestling less days, and doing it her way with her control. And people don't like that because people don't like anti-establishment people. That's just
Yep.
how it goes. And it's so funny as sports fans, we do this all the time, wrestling fans, sports fans, whatever. Why do we get so mad when the player gets something? We always side with the billionaires. We never side with the millionaires, but we're closer to the millionaires than we are the billionaires. Like when when the what was it? This was when an NBA player gets paid the max contract of like $100 million or 600 million. I don't know what Luca
Like
makes.
400 now.
400. We're always like, that's too much money to play basketball, but we don't complain about the owners getting $11 billion for a TV deal.
Right.
Like that, I don't understand the logic. And it's happening like that with Mercedes. It's like she like here's where I disagree a little bit with your take about she doesn't need AEW. The reason she needs AEW is when the amount of money she makes, she can afford to do these like she can,
Totally.
yeah, she can go to WPW and be like, look, normally I get $25,000, but I really want to do this thing for you guys. Give me 10,000. She can afford it because she's making millions of dollars on her day job, right? So but I know what you're saying. They don't
Yeah,
boost her brand. That is true. They do not help boost her brand at all.
that's kind of what I meant. And it's
I
actually a great
agree.
transition because I don't want anyone to take me saying she doesn't need AEW, it's just for the insurance and the pay. She's very, very passionate about that company, and that segues into I think we had the greatest representation of women, not just time, but storylines and meaningful things in Dynamite history this past Wednesday. And I would say that those are the things that Mercedes cares about most when it comes to AEW is getting that division kind of on the map. So we've got um women's tag tournament. You got Chris Statlander crushing it as champion. Um, all these different personalities getting TV time. We had the Mercedes getting slammed into the cake moment with Chris. Um, so we've got some really, really good momentum happening on the AEW women's side overall. And I think we'll probably dig into it even further next week because we got some other stuff to cover. But got this tag tournament coming around. Um, I think Chris and Mercedes have a real chance to main event Full Gear. They should main event Full Gear. Let me say it. Tony is a coward if they don't main event Full Gear. The men's match is going to be a Samoa Joe Hangman rematch. I'm sorry. I just don't think that's as big as Mercedes Chris is at the current story they're telling. And it's time. It's well past time. But I think the women were probably, what would you say, 45, 50 minutes of the show on Dynamite? And it was
Great,
real quality time.
great representation. That was my favorite Mercedes segment in AEW that she's done. Um, I loved everything about that segment. From beginning to end, I was hooked. When what I loved is like, they're doing the announcement for her, they're introducing her, and then the puppet comes out, Mini Monet. And Mercedes got serious. Like she literally was like, guys, get in the back. Get in the, belt boys, hit the bricks. Renee, get out of the ring. And she got serious. Like she was pissed, and she even called her Harley, right? Like she didn't say Mini Monet. She was like, Harley, this is pathetic. Da, 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 da. And then when she put the puppet's face into the cake, I felt a sense of anger from her, like she was almost going to snap the puppet's head off and stuff, right? But what was great about it is the payoff. It was a setup, right? She got outsmarted, right?
Yeah.
Chris has one up on her because Harley is Chris's friend, and that was a setup. And then Chris put her in the pie, or in the cake, and then put her through the table. And I thought for the first time, I was like, okay, Chris is a minted star, and this is a big match. And again, I thought Mercedes' promo after was fantastic. For somebody who gets a lot of grief about her promos, I thought she did the job. She goes, okay, you want to embarrass me? You want to make me look bad? I'm going to take the one thing you care about more than anything else, and I've already beaten you. And so to me, it's like, Chris, you can do all the crap to me, put me through a cake, you can do everything, but when that bell rings, you still can't beat me.
Yep.
And I thought that that was the best piece of business that Mercedes, like the segment in El Paso, we were there. A lot of people think that was the best, and I'm okay with that too. But I thought this was great. Like to me, I watched the segment like 5 times in a row. Like this wasn't. I didn't watch it like I watched Becky, Nikki Bella, where she goes, You can like I didn't watch it for that, but for what I was watching it for, this was great. And the other women's stuff on AEW was tremendous. Like they, for the first time, I kind of felt like Tony cares about women's wrestling as a totality.
Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter as a tag team is tremendous.
They
And
are. They are.
and the bracket is such. So Mercedes in that backstage segment, we found she'll be teaming with Athena. I love their relationship, the way we
Oh,
play off of each
that
other. I
was
think
great
that's
too. Totally
yeah,
forgot about that where she's wiping the cake from her face, and Athena's like, "We got to get you cleaned up." And then minion training, she's like, "Oh hell no! Like, what are we doing?"
yeah.
Like, that was great too. Yeah, overall A plus from the women on AEW this week. Great stuff.
That Queen Aminata, Jamie Hayter, Athena, Mercedes match should main event whatever show it's on. It might be on the Boston one, and I think that could be one of the greatest women's tag matches ever. Um, I know everyone thinks Tony and Mina are gonna win. Now that Athena and Mercedes are together, there's people who are like, how do those two, having held a belt for thousands of days combined, if you look at the belts they've held, how did they lose? But I like that Queen and Jamie pairing. I think they're not the first champs, they should be the second champs. If they fall short in the tournament, they should coalesce as a group better, and they need to be tag champions at some point. Um, Willow Harley are the first matchup for Athena Mercedes. To your point about the anger, in Carrie when she gets splattered with the blood, they showed Mercedes with the cake on her face in about 100 social media posts on AEW this week. Um, I'll be very disappointed if she doesn't come back with like violence in her soul. Like the only reason to have Willow Harley be the first match is for her to essentially hurt Harley. Would you agree with that?
Hmm.
Like she
I
needs
would.
to be dastardly with Harley.
Well, I know you are kind of past the mini Monet puppet, right? Like you're kind of like, okay, it's done its thing. Now it's time to take it away for a while, bring
Until
it
the
back
babyface
out.
turn in a year or two, yeah.
I just still don't understand why this thing hasn't been merchandised.
I
Like
don't either.
that's the other thing about AEW that drives me crazy, which is like Tony Khan is an NFL owner. Could you imagine working for the NFL and having like a product? Like, okay, like again, I'm an Eagles fan, obviously. Like they market the tush push. Like they got an endorsement deal from Dude Wipes. I don't understand how the mini Monet puppet, like if that was let's be real about it. If that was WWE, that mini Monet puppet would have been on the website in 20 minutes. Like that.
Number one in the shop is what it would
Like
have been.
like Alexa Bliss has a retirement fund off of her dolls. So it's like I don't understand it, but I agree with you. I think it's time for a serious Mercedes Monet. I think she has to destroy the puppet. And I think honestly, she has to have a match with Harley. This is just my opinion. Before the Chris match. And she has to put Harley on a stretcher.
Hmm.
Where it like the rule, like this is how the rules should be. If Chris, you come out and interfere at all, or you even are in the building, you lose your title. You cannot interfere in this match. And Mercedes has to like really almost destroy Harley to the point where people in the crowd are crying and or have tears for Harley. Because then when Mercedes loses to Chris, it feels something and they have to go down that path. Hopefully they can get there. But yeah, I just am super impressed with Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter. I think Willow is fantastic. I just think AEW's women's division, Tekla. I know you really liked Tekla and
Hmm.
Jamie's match.
I did.
Um,
Hard hitting, very, very physical. Um,
I mean, I could make a case right now that Tony Storm is one of the least compelling parts of the AEW women's division. And that to
doesn't
me,
feel the same way. The
that's
crazy doesn't
Bronco.
hit as good when she's not the champion, right? Am I
Her
wild to say that?
No, I agree. I think her gimmick works with the belt. holding it like Nick Bockwinkel, talking like Nick Bockwinkel, talking like, like her character needs kind of a retweak. Like her character needs a retweak to me because if your character only works as you're the champ, you better be as good a wrestler as Gunther if that's the case. Like then at that case she needs to be Mercedes in the ring where she has the belt all the time, but she's going to give you the great matches all the time. And as good as Tony Storm is, I don't think she's at that level. So yeah, I think AEW's women's division has done a really really good job. So now um I think we do need to segue to the WWE product. And
Yep.
we've talked a lot. We spent about an hour talking about Mercedes and AEW and independent wrestling. I will let you choose which path. This is like choose your own adventure. Do you want to start with the WWE product? Or do you want to talk about what we just watched this morning in Japan?
I would like to key that up for you.
Okay.
I think you know, for those just you guys will all hear this on Monday, but it is Sunday morning as it always is when we record, and um one of those moments where Japanese wrestling steals sleep from those of us here in America. Last night at Marigold was Mayu Iwatani versus I like to say Io Shirai in these circumstances. That's who we saw last night. But really, really great foundation for this match. Not just that they're two of the best wrestlers in the world, bar none, really. Um, but there was a really emotional press conference a couple days ago. Mayu couldn't even look at Io without crying, and like legitimately, just you could tell the warm feelings that these two women have for each other. So they're going to go out there and obviously tear each other's heads off, which is exactly what they did. Why wouldn't they? So I'll set it up for you. You've been looking forward
Okay.
to this match since the moment it was. That's a lie. You've been looking forward to this match for about 7.5 years since the last
Yeah.
time they
Mhm.
wrestled. Um, and then when it was announced, you said, match of the century. Um, they tore the house down, 27 minutes. I think you've watched it twice.
Mhm.
So, how did that match make you feel?
It is my favorite singles match this year for women so far. Now that could change. The list is fluid, as they say. But it's everything I wanted out of these two. It was hard hitting. It was classic Joshi. It was classic Thunder Rock. They played the hits. If you have watched the Mayu Iwatani Io Shirai match, some of these spots are not new. But Io, I think, is at her peak right now. And Mayu, to me, when she's motivated and she cares about the opponent across from her and she's not sleepwalking, she's as good as anybody, too. And Io is her mentor. So she's not going to half ass an Io match for her. Like, to her, this was her WrestleMania. So, like, she's going to bring it. She's going to bring her A game. She didn't Everything they hit was crisp. I mean, her moonsault was crisp. Her dragon suplexes, her kicks were hard. I mean, almost cringe-worthy hard. The stuff where she was kicking Io in the head, Io's kicking her. The drop kicks are crisp. This is a Joshi match. I mean, if you love Joshi wrestling, then you love this match. If you don't like Joshi wrestling, you're not going to like this match. And that's okay. Not everything is for everybody. I give this match a 5 out of 5. I don't think it's my match. It is not my match of the year. I can tell you that right now, but it is definitely one of my favorite matches of all time between these two. And honestly, I know a lot of people when they watch Io Shirai wrestle in Japan, they always want to know why she doesn't wrestle like this in the WWE. And I think that I don't know if the WWE audiences are programmed for those type of matches, quite honestly. I don't know if this style of match works in America the way it would work in Japan. Um, so
Yeah, yeah.
for me, look, I have this is what I will say, and I will hand it back to you. And this could be hyperbolic, and people are not going to love this take. Some won't. I don't know how anybody can make a case that once the bell rings, there is a better professional wrestler walking earth than Io Sky Shirai. Period. End of story. I don't get it. I cannot, because like I don't get anything but classics out of this woman. Like back to back to back to back. And it's like
I
her bar is so high. Think about it, right? Her bar is so high that this match for any other women's wrestler mostly would be their best match ever. This might not even be her third best match this year. But anyways, now I digress. Go ahead.
I mean, you said it 2 weeks ago and I debunked it pretty quickly, and it doesn't mean you're right and it doesn't mean I'm right, but the argument is really easy. When was her last great match against not a great opponent? I mean, great match and the opponent's not also great.
I can tell you, but I think you're going to disagree when I say who it is. She's had two matches. I might have the year wrong, so somebody who listens to this podcast correct me. She had two matches, and I think it was in the same year. One was Raquel Rodriguez, the other was Zoe Stark. Both were great matches. Same year. She was still in
Yeah,
NXT. She was still in
yeah,
NXT. But you could make the case, which you might, that hey, Raquel is pretty damn good and Zoe is pretty damn good.
yeah. No, and again, I'm not even debunking. I'm saying that's the argument. And while she's on a great run this year, she's only facing great fighters
Mhm.
this year. And so that's, yes, I wasn't saying she's never done it. I'm saying on this particular
Oh,
run,
yeah, 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 no
she's
question.
only in there with other greats. And so it's like
I think
27 minutes with, if two of the top five women in the world get 27 minutes, the match is always going to be great. Would you agree with that?
it should be. Yes,
It
it
should
should
be.
be.
Yeah.
It,
So,
it, it- I have a counter to your counter because somebody heard your counter on our show and they
mhm.
DM'd me and they wanted me to bring it up to you, but we didn't record last week, so I'll bring it up to you now. The person said, okay, I understand his point, which is she wrestles Bianca, and Rhea, and Lyra, and Roxanne, and Raquel, and Liv, and Mayu, and Asuka, and Kyrie. But she's doing it on the constraints of WWE. She doesn't get
They're not constraining her this year though.
they don't get she doesn't like they were saying how she doesn't get to go have these different style matches like Mercedes does because Mercedes is pretty much going to go to the promoter and be like, "Hey, I'm calling this match the way I want to." Like you talk about the Kanji match, which I know you love, how Mercedes didn't have to go and say, "I'm going to wrestle Kanji style," right? Like she could have been like, "I want to wrestle
Yeah.
a classic
Yeah.
Sasha Banks match," right? But this person said, "How come Io doesn't get credit for doing this in a structure that doesn't allow her to be her best?"
That's no longer a real thing though. WWE pay-per-view matches look like AEW matches from 3 years ago now. Like they structure
Do you think it's not that way for the women though?
that Rhea Io match, absolutely. There was no constraints on that match whatsoever. And I still think the triple threat is the best match of the year because the degree of difficulty and the speed they did in 15 minutes, but I don't think that match was constrained. There was not a producer backstage that was not a WWE style match. So I think
No.
WWE's been smart enough to let her let Io cook, as the kids would say. I do I get your point that an American crowd may not have appreciated this match. Funny enough, I think I think you drop this 27-minute match in the middle of an AEW event, and people that's what AEW fans are
They
looking
would go
for.
crazy. They
They
would
would
go
go
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
So
they would go crazy.
WWE fans, I think, love EO, and she's so over. I think it would have worked. Now it would have worked. It was a good it was a great match. I think it plays anywhere. And it'll be interesting though. You've said for a couple weeks you think Mayu might make the trek even temporarily over to WWE. Without EO, Mayu is the one that I wonder. I think Mayu could have some stinkers in the WWE structure. I think EO's past that. I think EO has enough sway backstage to do her thing. So I get the counterpoint of the person who DM'd you, but tell me one moment where once the bell rings, she hasn't looked like EO in the last 2 years. Triple H lets EO be EO.
That's a great point by you, and I'm going to give you credit for this because somebody also DM'd me that they're tired of Joshi fans every time Io has a match in Japan saying that, oh my God, why is WWE not letting her wrestle like this? And they're like, the only move she does in Japan that she cannot do in the United States is the tombstone.
That's it. Every other thing she did.
Every other thing she has done in a WWE ring, right? So the person DM me and I'm going to give you credit for the point, which is, hey, can we stop saying the WWE is holding EO back? Can we stop funding a narrative that is just outright? It's like the Mercedes isn't a draw. It's been debunked. We need to stop saying WWE has handcuffs on EO,
Yeah.
right? We need to stop saying that because it's not
If
true.
yeah, if you ask 100 dudes who the best men's wrestler in the world is, you're gonna get some Roman Reignses, you're gonna get some Cody Rhodeses, you're gonna get some Will Ospreys. Some people,
Kenny
may still
Omega,
go Okada, Omega,
Takeshita.
Takeshita.
Yeah, he
Seen
might
in
be.
person now, that may be the answer,
That
right?
might
Like
be
he's
the
been
answer.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
Are any of them wrong? It's mixed,
No,
right? So the point I'm making is I don't want any of the people who listen to this show. I think I think it's clear that EO, Mercedes, Mayu,
Saya,
Bianca, Saya,
Saya,
someone
Siri,
says
Siri.
and someone goes, "That's the best wrestler in the world." Like, I don't think like it's not right to say like you are wrong. Like, I'm
No.
not gonna pick on a name and throw it out there, but there are names that you could throw out. I'll pick on a men's name, right? If someone said LA Knight's the best men's wrestler in the world, I am going to tell that person you're crazy. Jey Uso's the best wrestler in the world. I'm gonna say you're wrong. Uh, there's a certain echelon though, and I named a bunch of the men's ones. We just named women's ones. It's like if that's what you like, you're right. For you, you're right.
I,
EO is a perfectly
the thing
acceptable
is,
answer. Mercedes.
again, I always, and I believe this. I truly, truly believe this. The way EO is booked in WWE is what I always wanted Mercedes to be in WWE. Like
Mhm.
that to me is what hurts me as a Mercedes fan, which is like I feel like Mercedes is so good, just like I think EO is so good, that if Mercedes got 25 minutes with Rhea Ripley, they would have an all-timer, right? Like they would have an all-timer.
I'd put money on it being an all timer.
Like they would have an all-timer. But she never got that. Right? Like
Right.
she never got 25 minutes with Rhea
We got three and a
Ripley
half minutes of a Survivor Series that's gonna have to hold us
where
over for maybe the rest of our life.
They let Rhea do Rhea and they let Mercedes do because like to me that Io Rhea match, which I gotta be honest, like when I watched Mayu and Io, I think the reason I have that today, and this could change by next week, by the way, as a little bit above Io Rhea is because of the wonky finish. But like, if you just watch Rhea and Io fight each other in that match at Evolution, that match works anywhere too. Like that match
That's
works
an epic
in Japan.
match.
That match works in Australia. That works in AEW. That works in New Japan. Like to me, that and I mean, people would be like, "Wait, are you saying Rhea's as good as Mayu?" And I'm like, I mean, Rhea Ripley, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and Rhea Ripley is the biggest women's wrestling star in the world. So
I
her pressure is exponentially higher every time the bell rings than Mayu's. And like, but again, back to your point, which is fair. I think what Mercedes is doing is equally great as what EO is doing because the degree of difficulty is different. Different venues, different promoters, different booking styles,
people
uh,
you just met.
different production value. Yeah, like there's so much nuance to what Mercedes is doing is being so great. I don't want to diminish it. But today in 2025, and this could change in 2026, it could change next week. If if they were to say, Raja, you have 1,000, I'm going to give you $1,000 cash, a plane ticket, a hotel room, and you can watch any woman wrestle in the world. And the money doesn't go to the promotion. I would pick EO. Like for me. Like, but here's the thing. The reason why am I saying that though? People have to ask me, like, why would you say that? Because you've gone to so many Mercedes matches. Exactly. That's the answer. How many EO Sky matches have I seen in person? I've never seen her in person in my life.
Hmm.
But because of the politics of not even the politics of TKO. No, I don't even want to say the politics because that doesn't bother me because I go to NFL games. So I can't sit there and pretend like politics mean anything. The truth is, I don't like the way TKO does ticket prices. I don't like how they overprice things. I don't like their arrogance. I don't like how they bring back people who have active cases that need to be flushed out of the court system before they bring people back. So I just cannot support the product. And this
Yeah.
Marigold show, if it wasn't in Japan, I would have gone. Like if it was anywhere in
Yeah.
the United States, I would have gone, or Canada. But because
So as so as yeah.
yeah,
So as we always say, if you didn't watch it, seek it out, guys. I mean, this
yeah,
is this is
great
elite
match,
top level
great
wrestling
match.
from
By the
two of the
way,
best.
Saray showed up in Marigold.
She did. I saw that.
So is she's like a Mercedes, right? Like she's not even attached to a company.
No, she's working Stardom dates next week, which everyone's like, man, that's ballsy because that's not a real good relationship, Marigold and Stardom. So,
She's a
but Saray
freelance.
does what she
So
wants,
yeah.
and more power to her. She's good enough to kind of call her own shots. So, yeah, she's freelance. Um, the other, a lot of stuff, other stuff going on in WWE. We'll get to NXT in a minute. There were two title changes. If you are watching this on YouTube, you saw both of them over Raj's shoulder while we've been talking over the last hour. Um, but we'll hit WWE main roster first. So Io's kind of been off TV for a minute while she was in Japan for this, but there's a collision course coming with Asuka, which is another match that I mean, I feel like Asuka's on fire right now, so I hope
Yeah,
that WWE continues to stay out of the way on once the bell rings and they get to have if they get to have a match like they could have in Japan, that's going to be a sensational match. Um, so excited for that. I think Asuka's character work has been fantastic over the last couple months. Um, We got Stephanie, Roxanne this last week with Nikki Bella kind of aligning herself with Stephanie. Some people think that's going to be a setup for a Nikki Bella heel turn. And then we got another good Becky Maxine match, which, almost a head scratcher for me is like, you're going to do the DQ. Is Maxine going to be Becky? Like,
oh, no, I think it's gonna be a DQ, it's gonna be a count out, it might be a no contest, and then she loses.
Well, she just had the DQ. The
right?
DQ
And they
happened.
had the count out before. The
Right.
first match was a count out. So I think that they're going down that path. So let's break down WWE. I think Asuka is currently the best character in WWE. Period. I'm
Hmm.
talking about men. I don't care. Asuka is the best character in WWE. I can make a case she's the best character in all wrestling. She is on another level as a performer. How abusive she is towards Kyrie wants me. I want to cheer so bad when Kyrie kicks her head off, right? Because,
Right.
but see, this is the funny thing about how great Asuka has been. I don't even think the payoff is Io beating her. I think the payoff is Kyrie beating her.
I agree.
And I think Asuka should win the title. I think Asuka should beat Stephanie Vacour. And I think right now on paper, it feels like I'm going to see Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vacour. We'll get to her in a sec. Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill. I think those feel like the two WrestleMania matches. I think
Yeah.
Io Asuka feels hotter to me than Rhea Stephanie. I think Io, I think Kyrie, like, look, people don't want to hear this. Asuka beating Stephanie, Kyrie winning the Royal Rumble, and picking Asuka and beating Asuka at WrestleMania, you could make Kyrie an EO level star in America if you did that.
Yeah.
Will they do it? I don't know.
No, I don't. I don't.
But
Yeah.
I think Asuka, and by the way, we talked about it 5 minutes ago. If you go back and watch the tag match from Crown Jewel, Asuka and Io were wrestling a Joshi match. They were
Yep.
wrestling a Joshi match. There was nothing watered down about their interaction. They were beating the pulp out of each other. So I think it gives credence, sorry, to your point, which is Io isn't really being held back, but it's a narrative that is being used to prop her up, which she doesn't need. But back to current WWE events. I'm not really feeling so far Stephanie's title run. I like that she had the match with Roxanne. It was a good match. It was 14 minutes. It was really good. They're both great wrestlers. I mean, like I said, anybody who knows me, I could watch Stephanie and Roxanne wrestle all day, twice on Sunday. But Nikki Bella turning heel, probably the way to go here. Nikki is a great heel. She can turn the audience very quick. People want to hate her anyway. I think she will be a great foil for Stephanie. She won't beat
Agreed.
Stephanie, but I think it's good. Stephanie needs a real heel to fight her because
Yeah.
her opponents in WWE have been Io and Rhea, or what, not Rhea, but Io and Julia. Like, she needs a real heel.
They need to generate a reason for the crowd to love her besides the devil's kiss. You know what I mean? Like that's all great and good, but she's so quality in the ring, and I love the work she's putting into her promos. The English gets better all the time. Um, but she's not been able to no one's generated heat off of her yet, right? So we need to put her in there with someone where the program gets elevated. It can't her whole run can't just be, well, I'm the best and you think you're the best. Like that's fun every once in a while, but that's been kind of her whole main roster.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah,
so
and
far has kind of been that
if it's going to
respectful
be her
fighting.
versus Rhea, then that's exactly what that's going to be, right? Like, it's going to
Exactly.
be you're the who's the best. Look, we can pretend like these things don't play a factor in booking, but Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie McCourt is a dream match for maybe if you were to list 10 things that it's a dream for, one might be wrestling. I mean, like, that's a dream match for eyeballs. That's a dream match for marketing, for promotion. They're both, I mean, I don't know two women who have more fans because of how they look. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, they're both super attractive women and they shouldn't
Hmm.
hide that. But like, I read the comments when they interact. I don't hear anybody saying, man, that's going to be a 5 star, man. I cannot wait to see them hook up. It's like people just want to see Rhea in the Devil's Kiss, and they're just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
And maybe that's good enough to get them to a WrestleMania main event. I don't know, but it feels like that's the direction they're going to go.
It's unfortunate because I was going to say earlier, the first 6 months of our podcast, we were actually the people who listened but didn't enjoy it, labeled us. We were seen as being Rhea haters a little bit. If you recall, she had this amazing feud with Liv that the promos and the story and all that was fun, but the matches kept on clunking, and just they're too good. They're both too good in the ring to not have had better matches for whatever reason. But
And
Rhea's
Liv
been
is
really, really
great
good
in the
this year.
ring, so it didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. Rhea's been really good in the ring this year. I think Rhea is someone who had been constrained by WWE to not. I think she was being produced poorly. I'm going to blame Liv and Rhea not having great matches to poor production because those women are both too good in the ring for it to not have been some sort of direction they were given where those matches just didn't work. But um, is Rhea Stephanie a main event match? If they get people invested in Stephanie enough, sure, but it's going to take some good heel work. And to your point, no one's been up to the challenge yet, and I think Nikki Bella is very much up to the challenge. Because if you recall, Asuka hadn't really gone full blazing heel when her and Stephanie had a Queen of the Ring, or they had a match, right? Am I crazy?
Who?
Asuka Stephanie this summer,
Yes.
yeah. So but it was more based on respect and who's the best, right? Asuka hadn't gone really heel yet. So that's kind of every match she's had has been that. I know Roxanne is a heel, but Roxanne is fantastic. She is not booked as a strong heel. I think she's got the most losses in WWE this year. Um, her, and that's the position she's in right now.
That's right.
So, Roxanne's fans haven't been happy with how she's been booked. It's great that she's on TV. She's obviously part of one of the bigger groups, but she's not positioned in a way where you think she's going to beat Stephanie for this belt, next. So, it was a fun match. It was a good match. Speaking of next, time I think has gone into overtime. It might be in double overtime, but I think the game is ending at double overtime. Triple overtime maybe if how many matches we've had with Jade. We finally got the Jade heel turn. It's already out there that Tiffy's got a messed up knee. Tell me, talk me out of the idea that Jade isn't gonna squash Tiffany like a bug on Saturday.
That should be the finish.
She's
Like,
gonna squash her. It's gonna be quick.
if we want to make this Jade heel turn mean something, I thought she did. Look, I have long been an opponent of Jade getting the title as a babyface. I don't think she's a good babyface. I have zero. Look, any woman who is statuesque like that and looks like she was literally built out of granite should not be a babyface. I'm sorry.
Right.
She should be a killer. What I
Unless they have that like Bianca has a thing where it works,
Bianca
right?
has a charisma about her, a babyface charisma. But man, I of all the Bianca Belair iterations, I was a fan of the "You Don't Go Here" Bianca Belair. Like I
That's true.
love that version of her. But Jade to me is like if you could write down on a piece of paper characteristics about a heel, Jade checks every box.
Yep.
She looks amazing. She's built perfectly, like statuesque. She's rich in like she's wealthy in real life,
Yeah.
and she flaunts it, and she doesn't apologize for it. Like I remember when Little Bow Wow famous as a rapper on, for the early 2000 kids who listen to our show, also like Mike, he was hitting on her and she's like, we use your money that you make as our date night money. Like she's a complete jerk about how wealthy she is, right? Like, she used to post Instagram about her going and just buying a Bentley because she was bored on a Wednesday. That's a heel. And this is not
Yeah.
a baby face. So now when I saw her come out, I'm like, that's why she's fighting Tiffany on Saturday night's main event. Because I knew the match was happening before I saw the segment on SmackDown. There was this thing called the World Series happening. And so I was like, oh, she's in black leather. She looks like she's gonna kill somebody. She has the scar. That's what I need out of Jade. She
Yep.
killed her. She beat her up. She injured her leg. She was talking crap. She was like, people were scared to hold her back. That's what I need out of Jade. Jade should beat Tiffany in 3 minutes. It literally, it should be Tiffany tries to get all the offense in the world on her in the first minute and then just doesn't have it and gets beat like quick. And
Yeah.
honestly, after Jade beats her, Bianca Belair should come out to face her. And that should be how Saturday night's main event ends. That's it. Like, simple.
Because I agree with that, but that also means it's not the Mania match, and I don't think it needs to be the Mania match. You would need Bianca to not come back for a while for that to last till Mania. I think Jade's going to be aligned with Kiana James and Julia. I just have a feeling that she's the the person that Kiana secured. We just
Yes.
don't know it yet.
And I'm
Um,
comfortable with that. I think that's
yeah,
something I asked for.
it is. You did. You called it a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Um, Tiffany needs to do the honors twice, though. I'd like to see a squash. Tiffany probably should go away for a couple weeks. She should come back healthy, and then she needs to put Jade over like in a full match when she's healthy. We rarely call for squashes on this show because the women need time, representation, the ability to put together a good match like the men do. But if you're gonna if you're gonna do a heel turn and Tiffany's injured going in, the only way to make the heel turn be as big as it should is for her to run over Tiffany.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I have tried my hardest to support the booking that they've given Tiffany, but it just hasn't resonated with me from a match quality standpoint. I think
You
that
know what I'm gonna call you know what I'm gonna call right now? And people who listen who think we're Tiffany haters, I'm gonna call this and I'm gonna give your girl credit. She loses the belt. She's off TV for 2 to 4 weeks. When she comes back, she'll get a bigger pop than she's gone in months.
yeah,
The
but
belt has been the weight.
I think but the only thing though is what have they like where do they go with her?
Uh,
Right? Because like that's the thing that I don't like because I don't think the story should end with her coming back and beating Jade at WrestleMania. Like I don't think that
no,
should,
no, 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 no.
right? So I think Tiffany needs a refresh. Maybe Tiffany needs to go to Raw. I don't know. And they need to move somebody over from Raw over to SmackDown. But yeah, I think Jade's time has come. She should win the title on Saturday night's main event. She should win it quick. She should be the heel champion. And if it's unveiled that Kiana James was saying, "Hey, Tiffany, this is why I would never pick you. This is why I wanted Jade." And Jade says, "Yeah, I need somebody to tell me what I needed to hear." Like Kiana James, told me, "Hey, you're Jade Cargill. You're a killer. What are you doing? Trying to please all
Right.
these people." I think that makes Kiana James a much more viable manager, and I think it makes the Julia and honestly, you could talk me into Julia and Jade Cargill winning the tag belts. I don't know. You could talk me into it. So I am I am comfortable with the direction that this is all going in. So we're gonna wrap the show here, but we gotta talk NXT. So on NXT, One title change was not a shock at all, and the other title change was a complete shock to me.
Right.
So let's start with the obvious one. So it was Blake Monroe, who I think has finally found her character in NXT,
She has.
against Sol Roca, it was supposed to be. And because of how the Seth Rollins thing is played out, people are wondering, was Sol really injured or are they protecting her? Did they
Right.
purposely keep her out of this match so she wouldn't lose? They put Zakaria in, she lost. Blake Monroe is your new North American Women's title champion. That one's the obvious one. That one
Yeah.
makes to me. Blake needs some gold. She's a heel. I think her and Jordan Grace still have some work to do. So this one makes sense to me.
Yeah, the Soul Rocket thing is a little interesting. I presume she's actually hurt. Hopefully she's not hurt that bad. It's odd for them to do kind of like the fill-in route. Um, you know, unless they think they can get away with it. Maybe Soul, when she's healthy, they're just going to call her up to main roster, and they're going to say that Blake doesn't need to beat her. But I actually like the match. I think Blake has figured out what made her special in AEW and how she can translate that to WWE NXT TV. Is she's figuring it out, and so yeah, I think she'll clearly be in the Rumble, right? She's clearly going to be in the Rumble. And I would see her, the latest I see her getting called up is April post Mania. If you told me that they have her in the Rumble and she starts doing main roster dates in between Rumble and Mania, I would believe that. And then the other match, the JC's put in really good work this year. And made the most of this title run. I don't maybe the NXT formula now is there is no formula because I think we're starting to. It is the most unpredictable title changes we've seen the last couple of them. We didn't see JC beating Stephanie in the moment that she did, and I didn't see Tatum winning. I don't think a lot of the fans of hers that I follow on Twitter. I'm not saying I follow a ton of Tatum Paxley fans, but I do follow some. I don't remember seeing them say today's our crowning moment. I certainly saw them happy and freaking out once it happened, and good for them. I remember those. Those are the moments as a fan that kind of make it really worth it when your fave wins a title that maybe you didn't when you didn't see it coming. That's always a good thing. But I was a little surprised. Um,
So
she's a great worker though, so I think they could do some fun things.
Tatum is a great worker, but I want to piggyback off what you said about Jacy Jayne because we try our best. We cover a full landscape and we're not just WWE centric like most podcasts, or we're not just AEW centric like most podcasts. We try to talk about all things.
Yeah,
I don't think we've done enough praise of Jacy Jayne. I don't.
agreed.
I think both of
Agree.
us are fans of hers, and we appreciate the work she's put into that character and the Fatal Influence, and kind of taking over for Mandy. But if there was a most improved wrestler category, I could make a case it's Jacy Jayne.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has turned my opinion about them this year as a worker like she has. Um,
Agreed. And she's got a skill set, and Blake has this too. I mean, I just
I
feel
think,
like if you can be a real heel and really commit to getting the crowd to boo you and be against you, that is the skill set in wrestling that's the most hardest to come by right now. It's not out there right
and
now as
and
good
I
as it should
mean,
be.
Jacy Jayne, as I talked about, like she's doing it before the bell rings.
Yeah.
Like she gets people to hate her before the bell rings. I actually think she should go to the main roster and be a Stephanie feud. I think she should be like a Royal Rumble Stephanie feud because she has the I beat you card.
Yeah.
She's like, I beat you for the titles. I could do it again. That's easy money. And I
Yep.
think Stephanie, like you said, desperately needs to face somebody who's just a heel and not
Yeah.
a Roxanne heel who it's weird with Roxanne, right? Because a lot of people love Roxanne. A lot of people love Roxanne. Like she has a lot of fans. But she's so unserious as a character right now because she loses so much. You can't take it seriously.
She's from the Mercedes mold of she will work the crowd during a match in a way where she'll get over as a heel. She just needs to win more and she could be a top heel. She's been the sacrificial lamb too many times.
Yeah,
Um,
she's just been booked
I'm gonna
inconsistent.
go back to main roster real quick just before we wrap this up. I think we got two more things briefly to touch on and wrap the show up. We have Charlexa versus Bailey and Lyra coming up on Monday. Um, is Bailey turning heel? Like fully?
I think Bailey's turning heel, but then the next week she's gonna come back and be like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know if that's fully flushed out,
I get you.
but I
Yeah,
do think it's kind of like, okay, we got to get going here with the Bailey story. Um, and honestly, they need more heels. So I'm
yeah.
okay with that. Charlexa is interesting. Do you know they will have already defended the tag belts more than any other team once they have two more defenses?
I appreciate that they've kept them active, and that's what I've always felt like that belt should be. And when they book it for top stars, they generally have top stars doing too much other stuff to be active. So kudos to Alexa and Charlotte, who are top stars, for being active and defending the belt. Just like I feel for AEW, wherever that title settles in, maybe after the inaugural or maybe the inaugural, that should be a fighting champion belt because women only get so much time, and that's a great way to have consistent, compelling matches.
So Charlexa, Bailey Lyra, and then we still have this ongoing Becky Lynch, Maxine Dupree saga. So it, the payoff seems to be Becky Lynch, AJ Lee, right?
Right.
Like at some point, what I find interesting is the Becky promo backstage. We didn't talk about it, but we should. Did you see the promo with Paul Heyman?
It was a babyface promo to me, but I hate Paul Heyman, so
Well, okay, no, but that's what I'm saying. Becky Lynch is like cutting this crazy babyface promo about how he's a snake oil salesman. She never believed him.
yeah.
And when her husband comes back, he's gonna get everybody. Okay. And then in the next segment, she's basically back to being a despicable heel against, Maxine. I
I think the
feel
Maxine thing was first. It was
okay.
after.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
she healed it up, cheated, all that stuff. And then after does this promo that I think everyone would see as a babyface promo. That's why it threw me off because it was after she had just reiterated how much we should hate her as a wrestler.
Somebody said this on Twitter. I want to give them credit, but they're like, is she a babyface or is she just being a good wife?
Huh?
Like, does that supersede babyface heel? Like she's like, hey, you wronged my husband. My husband is injured now because of your guys and you turning on him. So I'm a good wife. I'm gonna get you back because of what you did to my husband. So I guess you could look at it that way.
That's a
Um,
good way to look at it.
I, I have, I hate to say this, and I'm such an AJ fan. I've lost some juice with her because her being as hot as she was and then just taking her off TV, just taking her off. I didn't like that. Like, I
It,
understand
it
AJ has things to do, but like character-wise, I kind of feel like, okay, she's gonna come back and just get the belt. Like, I'm not a fan of that. Like, give it to a man
yeah,
who's worked there every week.
yeah, I'm lost on the AJ thing. Maybe it was reported wrong, and she is going to be around permanently, but not consistently, and maybe that's been the plan the whole time. Um, the funny thing about the Becky thing is I'm not the biggest Seth fan. She sold that moment, that promo sold me on Seth more than most of the work he's done in his career, right? Like, because even in my mind, I'm like, oh, if he comes back with a vengeance, that could be fun and good and all that. But um, I have one closing thought, and then I'll kind of give it to you for your closing thoughts. I don't think you got to watch this last night. You had a very important World Series game to watch, so I respect that. But
Badly.
I will continue to shout from the rooftops. Shout out to Athena, who runs the world too. Was put on by Metroplex Wrestling, with Athena being, really the engine behind it. Um, Big deal, man. They got the AEW Women's World Champion on their show, right? I mean, that is a big deal. And they announced there'll be a third card in January. But some highlights from the show. Um, Chris won a triple threat match against London Dior and Maya World. Maya World continues to be, to me, the most talented up and coming unsigned woman in wrestling. I just, with all the connections she has to AEW, I'm flabbergasted if Tony doesn't have that set up where she's going to sign as their top, kind of like they got Billy Starks. Like that she's the new top prospect to me. It'd be crazy for him not to sign her. Abaddon defended her MPX championship against Nixon Newell. Great to see Nixon Newell in the ring and healthy. So that was fun. And then Nikki Blackheart, I think this is one of the bigger shows she's been on. Kind of was an internet sensation for her, I think, power slam and the way she looks. But had a good little match that I think got her some good exposure. So it's a fun card for anyone who wants to catch it. Um,
Who did
and
Maya wrestle? Did she wrestle Chris?
Maya, London Dior, and Chris wrestled a triple threat. It was
Okay.
pretty balls to the wall. It was a good little match. I mean, it was sloppy in a good way. And what I mean by that is they were going for it, and it felt like a fight. And not everything came out perfectly, but it felt that not everything came out perfectly because of urgency, which again I like.
Okay.
So it was a good match. I think people enjoyed it, and yeah, Maya's going to be a big name in this business. She really is, and it was cool to see Chris in this environment.
Yeah, Chris has been awesome. I'm always and Maya's tremendous. Like she's a burgeoning superstar. And again, I would hope Tony has learned his lesson from Stephanie Vacour and signs up Maya. Now, again, I don't know if anybody would have ever had the meteoric rise of Stephanie Vacour. Like I'm being serious. Like it's been quite a ride, but Maya's tremendous. She's great in the ring. She has charisma. She has a great look. Like she's a superstar, no question. And yeah, you're right. I was focused on a very different, event, the World Series, and did not go my way last night, but I'm still clinging on to the hope that 86% of the teams since 1995 that win game one win the World Series. And at this point, I think Yamamoto is incredible, and I hope I never see him pitching against my Blue Jays again. I hope like, he has not, I don't want injury or anything, but like, if like, his wife had a baby and he had to miss his next start, no worries, no problem by me because
Well, if you win the next three games, you wouldn't see him, right? It
well,
would be game
yeah, and
six that he
that's
would
that's
pitch
also what
again.
I'm hoping for because I got to tell you, to shut down that offense the way he did. And for those, baseball listeners, all baseball fans who listen to this podcast, to put it in context, the Blue Jays were on pace to be the best playoff offense ever. They were on pace. Like they were averaging 7 runs a game. And they weren't doing it against scrubs. Like they were doing it against, Cy Young winners. And they were raking. I mean, what did they do to the Dodgers game one? So
11. Yep.
and did that to Blake Snell, right? So it's like to shut down that offense the way he did. And remember, he struggled in the first 3 innings. And then once he caught his groove, he was unbelievable. Like kudos to him, tip of the cap. He is a throwback to like I'll be honest, like a lot of people say your guy in Detroit is the best pitcher. I never seen him pitch like that. I never seen him pitch like that. I've never seen Scooble or Snell or Skeen pitch like that. In that game, in that ballpark, against that team, World Series game two, when your team's back is against the wall, dude, when complete game,
Yeah. Scooble threw 6 innings, 14 strikeouts. We just didn't score any runs. So I mean, yeah, it's
he did it against Seattle. He didn't do it against the Blue Jays. He didn't
fair.
do it against historically the best playoff offense of all time.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like,
it looks like we're getting a good series regardless, so that's
yeah,
fun
and
for
that's,
everybody.
but I think though, if you're a real baseball fan, I understand most Americans don't watch the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were never going to get swept. This was never going to be David versus Goliath. I think A-Rod said it best. This is more Goliath versus Goliath. This is two real Titans. I know your team is off this week. They have a well-earned bye, I believe, after beating very impressively Tampa Bay on Monday night. And then I think they come back and play the Vikings,
Yep,
if
in
I'm not
Detroit.
mistaken, which is the Vikings, they have their own problems. And that shouldn't be that too hard of a task. And my team plays the Giants today, revenge game, no AJ Brown. We'll see how it goes. I always hold my breath on these weird division games, but
Just
we
like I am with the Vikings, I won't take for granted we're going to beat them because it's
yeah,
divisional.
well, McCarthy comes back, I know, but I mean, I got to be honest, like the Vikings have everything figured out but quarterback. Like they're good at everything but quarterback.
Chargers ran all over them this week though too, so that part's not figured out either.
Yeah, Chargers, the Madison beer effect is real. But my team has a bye after this week, which we desperately need. But yeah, I gotta say, man, it's good to be back. I think a lot has happened in the 2 weeks for women's wrestling, which is great. And definitely check out the Athena show. That's a show we should all go support. Go check out the CMLL show, the all women CMLL show that Mercedes main evented. That was
Yep. Can
tremendous.
still get it on Triller, right?
Yep. Look, Mayu versus IYO, you should seek out if you're just a fan of good wrestling. And I guess my what I'm interested in now is how does IYO and Rhea come back into the story? Because I think they were injured, right? Like they both got injured from the last interaction. And I think we're getting women's war games.
Yep.
And from
And we
what
got
I
women's blood and guts coming up too on the AEW side. So there's a lot. I mean, the 2 weeks there was a lot in the time that we missed, and there's a lot coming up. So it's exciting times.
Yep. So on that note, this episode will be up tomorrow, or we are recording it on a Sunday, but you'll get it Monday morning like you always do, and we'll be back on schedule. And maybe the week helped us because now we got a chance to kind of recollect our thoughts and look at the landscape. But we'll be back here next week, and hopefully we'll have as much to talk about next week as we did this week.
Yep. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Oh,